Hashtag young gang got her. We got a good reason to be tired today. We spent some time outside.
I know all of the yard work.
All the yard work. That's right.
I absolutely. I wish I liked yard work. I was just telling Megan. I wished that I enjoyed doing yard work, but I don't. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah,
I do.
Are you ready to learn more about the Bible, though?
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
You gonna teach me about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So today we're going through some more Zechariah. In fact, we're going to finish off Zechariah.
Zechariah.
What did I say?
Zechariah.
Oh, I meant Zechariah. So anyways, last time, we learned about Yeshua, the archangel that is going to be coming to absolve all of our sins, and he's going to be crowned the high priest, and he's going to sit amongst the angels, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
We talked about some other things, but if you want to learn about it, just listen to last week's episode. But anyways, today we're going to be continuing Zechariah's fever dreams that he's having.
Mm-hmm.
So first, we're going to be talking about Zion's oppressors and how they're going to get fucked up 7 ways from Sunday. And that's 7 ways with a Z, by the way. God's getting hip with his language because he knows all the kids are going to love it when they use X and Z's later.
No, I don't like it.
Why else would he witness himself to Zechariah?
I mean, I don't know. The person's name probably wasn't Zechariah at all.
So anyways, just so everybody knows, Zion's king is coming. All right. He'll be lowly and he'll be riding upon a donkey.
He's going to come on a donkey?
He's going to perform in a donkey show, and it's, going to be him on the donkey and then the donkey on him. It's just going to be a whole thing. You got to pay about $35 to see.
Yeah.
Whatever $35 is in like
so it's 35 today money or 35 then money, because that would make a big difference.
I mean, I'm speaking about today.
Okay.
So that's like 45 million whatever talents or something of
silver
breadcrumbs.
Oh.
Anyways, so it's very important to understand that this guy, the king of Zion, who's going to be coming lowly on a donkey, is not a war king, but he is going to proclaim peace across the land. So he's just going to shut people up with his natural musk.
Oh.
Yeah, God is going to show up and he's going to whip out his lightning dick for all to see. The Lord is going to save people like a shepherd is saving his... I have bitches written down, but I'm guessing that means sheep. Anyways.
Of course you have bitches written down. Why would you have anything else written down?
There are going to be different liars about God. Like different people going around lying about God, and the people that listen to them are eventually going to get fucked up beyond recognition, or foobar, as we like to say.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to wander around like sheep that don't have no shepherd, apparently. But God's gonna take care of them. Don't you worry about them lost sheep. God's gonna rein them in, okay, with praise songs and hip Christian rap. Then from Judah will come the cornerstone of something. I don't know, a building. They're probably just going to fashion it out of actual stone. God is going to make sure that the tribe of Israel is redeemed.
Okay.
Yeah, like a coupon at Walmart.
Okay.
That's how he's going to redeem them. He's going to save them and then redeem them.
Can you use coupons at Walmart? I mean, I don't shop. I don't even know. I don't shop at Walmart.
Kroger then.
Oh.
I can just see the commercial for God now. It's like, clip and save Judea along with getting redeemed for awesome savings or something. I don't know. I'm not good at selling shit other than wallets. God is then going to talk about the good and the bad shepherds. If you didn't know, there's good and bad shepherds. He'll use an allegory, which people have trouble making sense of. So again, God is going to confusingly communicate his message to his people.
That makes no sense to me.
Why you would confusingly communicate?
If the message is so important, yes. I mean, the message is so important. It's from the one creator God, right? And the message is so important about how these people are supposed to live and how they're supposed to worship and what they're supposed to do and like the truth of life. And it's this important. And yet they communicate it in a confusing fashion. God does. It makes no sense to me. Seems like he'd want it to be clear.
You would think so, but then you're forgetting the part where God is basically the Riddler. And so he wants to leave clues so that people can figure it out for themselves.
Oh.
Instead of just telling people and saving us about an hour and a half.
Our lives, people's lives. Like
I was referring to the Batman.
Oh.
Because it's a 3-hour movie.
You know, it's not bad though.
No, it was a good movie.
I mean, it's long, but it's not bad.
So during this allegory, God gets rather agitated. And I mean, I'm probably wrong about this. I know I'm wrong about this. In my notes, I have, he ends up getting so mad that he snaps a couple of dipshits' dicks off and beats the shit out of them with it. So, I mean, there's something about rods getting snapped in half. And for some reason, that's very important to God's message. Honestly, if anybody come at me and be like, listen, I will snap dick in half, okay? I mean, I would listen to that person, at least, you know, take it into heavy consideration.
Oh, is that what it takes to get you?
What?
Like just a threat of it? I don't actually have to do anything to hurt you. I can just threaten it and then do what I want.
What?
I'm just asking. That's what you said. I'm just you said it, not me. You said if somebody came at me and said they were going to snap my dick in half, then I would listen to them.
Later on tonight, it's like, John, if you don't put dishes away, I will snap your dick in half.
I mean, maybe it's not a good threat because you know I'm not going to do it. So it's probably not going to work for me.
I might laugh. I don't know. Anyways, continuing on, well, I guess we'll need to get clarity on that particular thing in the actual Bible study. But next, we're going to have the salvation of Jerusalem after all the dick snapping happens. Jerusalem is apparently going to be made by God like an immovable rock. You know that question of whether or not God can make a rock so large he can't move it or lift it?
Uh-huh.
Apparently he does that in the Bible.
Yeah.
With Jerusalem.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like a Medusa thing. God looks at Jerusalem and they all turn to stone, and that's where they reside today.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, God is going to, quote unquote, pour his grace on the house of David. I don't know what crazy motherfucker is collecting his grace, but ew. Anyways.
Like to put it in a jar and put it in the fridge.
Really?
For later use. I don't know.
What use?
I don't know. Like if you want to add protein to a dish or something. I don't know.
I think a teacher got in trouble for that recently. Anyways.
Well, I'm not a teacher.
I mean, you teach me new things every single week.
I'm kind of smart.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from you too.
I'm glad. I don't know how. Anyways, so God pours his grace on the house of David, and then apparently people get mad about it. Like, God, why are you pouring this shit on our house? This is fucking gross. And so what they do is they take the Messiah and they pierce him, and then they grieve his death. Like they have remorse over their. It's like they get mad and they're like, oh, we're gonna fucking kill your Messiah, and they kill him, and they're like, oh no, we killed the Messiah. And so it's like instant regret there, instant karma. And then the day that the Messiah is killed, that's when all of the sin will be cleansed of impurity and shit. So that's the day when the Messiah is killed. That's when everybody's sin is just wiped away. It's like a clean slate kind of thing. Next, the names of all the idols that currently exist will be banished, censored. You know, like on Twitter when they banish, I don't know, Marjorie Taylor Fuckhead or Donald Trump. Anyways, the edict comes down that parents are going to have to kill their own children if they claim to be a prophet of God, because there just won't be no more prophets. You know, don't say you're a prophet, otherwise you're going to get killed, and it's going to be the parents' duty to kill your ass, just so you know. So anyways, the sheep, who are aka the Israelites or the Judeans, the Jews, are going to get scattered by God, but don't worry, he's got them. Like, he's got them in his back pocket. Like, they're fine. There was a great battle. God will gather all of the nations to Jerusalem, who will then get fucked hard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that means that Jerusalem's going to get fucked or if the nations are going to get fucked, but somebody is getting fucked and not in a good way. Like, it's not a fun time. God is going to throw down against those nations. So God's going to gather everybody to Jerusalem. Everybody's going to be fighting and everything. And then God is going to drop down nutsack first. And he's going to be like, come on, let's go. And then he's just going to fuck all of them up really hard. Just bare knuckle box, all of them. Anyways, this entire ordeal here is going to be so harsh that the Mount of Olives is just going to split right into two. And then living water, I don't know what in the fuck that means. I don't know. Like, I guess maybe it's just filled with bacteria or some shit. But anyways.
They need to drink that through a what's it called? A life
straw?
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of those, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, living water.
They're in our zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Living water is going to flow out from Jerusalem, and then there's only going to be one God. So imagine Highlander, but God, he's standing at the center of it. He's like, there can only be one. Anyways, the wicked is going to get punished with rotting eyes. Like, their eyes are just going to spontaneously rot out of their heads. And I guess they're going to walk around like zombies or something. Oh, they're still going to have tongues, so I guess they can scream. But anyways.
Screaming people running around with rotted eyeballs.
Yep.
That's gross.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh? Everyone will then have to acknowledge God. Everyone is going to acknowledge God. Like, there's not going to be any question about it. God dropping down, nuts first, defeating everybody and proclaiming to be the only one. It's going to convince everybody that he is the only one God. Let's see. Those that don't are going to get fucked up. I mean, God's going to know and you're going to get fucked. And then for one reason or another, I don't know why. Maybe you can explain it to me, but apparently every bowl in Jerusalem is going to become sacred, and the Canaanites are just going to leave the town screaming and never return. I don't know why those two things are connected, but apparently they are. And that's it for the Bible study today. Thank you so much for joining.
No.
Remember,
what?
God will snap your dick in half, okay?
I mean,
that happens.
We're going to actually read the story, you know.
Why?
Because this is what we do every week. You did so good.
Yeah.
You did a really good job, but we're just going to read what's on the page so they know. You know, the more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah.
It's like today I learned, but just more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to actually read the chapters. We're going to read Zechariah 9 through 14, and that's going to finish out Zechariah Prophecies.
Okay, if we have to.
We do. I'm so sorry.
What's up, heathens?
How y'all doing?
So, obviously, I got shit wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you did all right. There were some things you definitely got right on the money, like the rotting eyeballs. That's definitely there.
Yeah. And also snapping rods, and it's also there.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of. But it's not about dick.
You say this every single time. Like, Moses didn't really whip his dick out and smash it against the rock, and that's why God got pissed off.
He didn't.
Like, he literally whips his rod out and smashes the rock, and that's why God's mad.
I mean, rod, like a staff, not like a penis.
I mean, everybody has different definitions.
I mean, I feel like in the context, we know that he's not talking about genitalia.
God is all about the dick.
I mean, that's not untrue.
Mm-hmm. Like, in this one today, we've got him pouring out his grace. The Zion King is coming. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, there's so much innuendo all over the place. It's crazy. And these people are supposedly the ones that hate sex. No wonder they have to read it every fucking year.
But they don't. They don't read it every year.
No, but I mean, this is their religion. So, I mean, I guess I'm just saying I understand the aversion to sex if this is how sex is presented to you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'm here to learn and listen.
All right. Well, then I guess let's get started. So the last time we heard from Zechariah was actually a while ago. There's a long lull in Zechariah Prophecies.
Yeah, he took a weekend off.
More like a few decades, right?
Yeah.
We're not sure exactly the timing of these particular prophecies. The last ones we heard about were in approximately, according to the story, 516 BCE. These, according to scholars can't be any later than 460 BCE. I think that's a long time between. And that's what did we decide? That was 56 years in between. And that's a long time. Like, because Zechariah was an adult before, and that would be a very old man for this time.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember, like, Adam lived to be like, what, 900 years old?
No, he didn't actually live to be that long.
Well, no. I'm not talking about, sorry, I'm not being literal here. I'm just talking about within the context of the Bible.
Yeah,
like
they're older people, like people that live to be old. Yeah, I mean, there's no indication that Zechariah would live any longer than any normal person at this time. So anyway, these are the last prophecies that we have from Zechariah.
Okay.
So we're just going to jump right into it. You're ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Going head first into God's grace.
Okay, so Zechariah 9, a prophecy. The word of the Lord is against the land of Hadrach, and will come to rest on Damascus. For the eyes of all people and all the tribes of Israel are on the Lord, and on Hamath too, which borders it, and on Tyre and Sidon, though they are very skillful. Tyre has built herself a stronghold. She has heaped up silver like dust and gold like the dirt of the streets. That would be nice, wouldn't
it? Yeah, that would. We'd have our house paid off by now.
We got a lot of dirt. I mean, fuck. But the Lord will take away her possessions and destroy her power on the sea, and she will be consumed by fire. Ashkelon will see it and fear. Gaza will writhe in agony, and Ekron too, for her hope will wither. Gaza will lose her king, and Ashkelon will be deserted. A mongrel people will occupy Ashdod, and will put an end to the pride of the Philistines. I will take the blood from their mouths, the forbidden food from between their teeth. Ew.
What's the forbidden fruit, God?
Forbidden he's going to pick it out of their teeth. Those who are left will belong to our God and become a clan in Judah, and Ekron will be like the Jebusites. But I will encamp at my temple to guard it against marauding forces. Never again will an oppressor overrun my people, for now I am keeping watch.
Oh, just now you're keeping watch?
Now. I mean, he was before, but then he wasn't because they pissed him off, so he left.
Yeah.
And now he's back again. Shady's back. Tell some men.
Oh, tell some men. Yeah, got it. I kind of cringed a little bit at the use of mongrel people. Like, I have no idea what that could mean. I'm sure it doesn't have the racial connotations that it does now, but it makes me cringe a little bit reading it.
Yeah, it's a perhaps not a strange word to use at the time. It's a weird word to use now. I mean, depending on what you mean by that, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's just a people that I don't necessarily think, given that they're in the Middle East, I don't necessarily think that it's related to skin color. I don't think that's what it's meant here. I think that's just maybe meant that a mongrel people would be like a lower class, like less civilized group of people, or who they would consider to be less civilized.
Right.
I mean, hell, the Europeans came over here to America and, they were the civilized ones, just fucking trashing everything and destroying everything that native civilizations built in America. And native civilizations were far more civilized and structured than the Europeans were aware of.
But the Europeans had guns, and so therefore they just took shit over.
They also came with disease, so that helped them get rid of a whole bunch of people too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. We're not talking about that right now. Okay, so, are you ready to talk about Zion's king?
Oh, yes.
Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. I will take away the chariots from Ephraim and the war horses from Jerusalem, and the battle bow will be broken. He will proclaim peace to the nations. His rule will extend from sea to sea and from river to the ends of the earth. As for you, because of the blood of my covenant with you, I will free your prisoners from the waterless pit. Return to your fortress, your prisoners of hope. Even now, I announce that I will restore twice as much to you. I will bend Judah as I bend my bow and fill it with Ephraim. I will rouse your son Zion against your son's Greece and make you like a warrior's sword. So the Lord is coming. Well, their king, their new king, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be different from previous kings because he's going to be lowly.
Mm-hmm.
And ride on a donkey.
Right.
And bring peace, which is unlike the previous kings that were very warlike.
Right. So just so that everybody knows, this first verse here, Zechariah 9:9 is the most prophetic out of all of all of this stuff right here, because that's the part where it says, "Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion! Shout, daughters Jerusalem! See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of the donkey." Okay, so I just wanted to repeat that real quick because in my little master list of prophecies here about the Messiah, or Yeshua, Jesus, this one single passage is what we can is where they get a lot of the things that happen in one particular event in the gospel. So we've got greeted with rejoicing in Jerusalem, that happens. Beheld as a king, that happens. Like all over. The Messiah would be just. The Messiah would bring salvation. The Messiah would be humble. He'll be presented to Jerusalem riding on a donkey, which is one of the most iconic, I think. The being greeted with rejoicing in Jerusalem and riding in on a donkey, and everything like that. I think is probably one of the more iconic like scenes, I guess, from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all from the Old Testament. Like that's how they knew or that's why they made it up, that it was said that would happen, and so they're like, well, that had to have happened. But that makes it makes a lot of sense thinking about it from this perspective of this is a prophecy by a prophet in the Old Testament, so it had to have happened. And under that understanding, it makes sense why there would be such a rejoice when Jesus gets to Jerusalem, only to have just like a mere days later, or maybe even less than that, the entire town then wants to kill Jesus. So it like that right there just doesn't make sense like in the gospel story.
Mm-hmm.
But if you understand it from the perspective of, oh, the gospels say this will happen, but it will also say that this other shit will happen, and so they don't even try to reconcile.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of instances like that. I mean, there's so many prophecies that in the Jewish scripture that are attributed to the Messiah, because that's how it was supposed to go, right? These prophecies are messianic. They were looking for their Messiah. And so, of course, the Messiah that they end up having or choosing, the Messiah that comes to them, so that now you've got your Jewish Christians, that Messiah would need to fulfill these.
Right.
And those who believed that the Messiah fulfilled them became Christians, and those who believed that the Messiah, that the person who came did not, or that this Messiah figure did not fulfill them, they remain Jewish and still are waiting for the Messiah. Okay. Then the Lord will appear over them. His arrow will flash like lightning. The sovereign Lord will sound the trumpet. He will march in the storms of the south, and the Lord Almighty will shield them. They will destroy and overcome with sling stones. They will drink and roar as with wine. They will be full like a bowl used for sprinkling the corners of the altar. The Lord their God will save his people on that day, as a shepherd saves his flock. They will sparkle in his land like jewels in a crown. How attractive and beautiful they will be. Grain will make the young men thrive, and new wine the young women. So they're going to have chunky men and drunk women.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's, the women are going to have to be drunk in order to, I don't know. This feels this feels like it needs a content warning right here. Like a trigger warning. Like, hold up, God suggests getting women drunk.
I mean, ask the Lord for rain in the springtime. It is the Lord who sends the thunderstorms. This is not how weather works, just clarifying. He gives showers of rain to all people and plants of the field to everyone. The idols speak deceitfully. Diviners see visions that lie. They tell dreams that are false. They give comfort in vain. Therefore, the people wander like sheep, oppressed for lack of a shepherd. My anger burns against the shepherds, and I will punish the leaders. For the Lord Almighty will care for his flock, the people of Judah, and make them like a proud horse in battle. So at this point, God is really pissed about the leaders and the people that they have advising them, I guess, right? The diviners and prophets and the people that tell prophecies, but they're not real ones, because they don't have the light shining out their asshole when they're doing it.
Right.
And that's how you tell.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you tell.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this kind of sets up this, it sets it up to be able to dismiss people as being false, like teachers and shit, like easily. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're talking shit because this is how it's supposed to be. And it's just everybody pointing fingers at everybody else saying that everybody's a false, prophet, whatever.
Well, and what's interesting is that he's saying that the people have been ruined by these leaders and their advisors because the people have been led astray, right?
Mhm.
And so they need a shepherd. They don't have one. So God's going to be their shepherd. There's a lot of shepherd talk here, and there's a lot of shepherd talk in the New Testament in regards to Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like Jesus is often depicted as a shepherd,
Mm-hmm.
even though he was a woodworker or whatever. He was a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you ready to continue in Zechariah 10?
Yeah.
We already started it, but we'll continue here. From Judah will come the cornerstone, from him the tent peg, from him the battle bow, from him every ruler. Together they will be like warriors in battle, trampling their enemy into the mud of the streets. They will fight because the Lord is with them, and they will put the enemy horsemen to shame.
So, of course, this part right here is at least the list of prophecies I have says that it is talking about Jesus. But I also understand why some Jews thought that there was going to be a more warlike Messiah to come and do it because of language like this. But I think that there's obviously a very big distinction between what is like a spiritual battle going on and then a physical battle.
Well, and that's the difficult part here, is because there are some inconsistencies, because there are things that indicate that you'll have a warrior Messiah, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there are indications that you won't, as we just saw not too long ago, that their savior is going to come in peaceful, not with chariots or war horses or battle bows. The battle bow will be broken, is what he says, and he will proclaim peace to all the nations. But now here, just one chapter later, he's talking about that there'll be warriors trampling the enemies, fight because God is with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is inconsistent, I believe. So it makes sense that some might believe, especially if you have different tribes of people, groups of people who are thinking that slightly different things.
Well, right. And I mean, it was very diverse, like the Jewish beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some Jewish sects, like the Essenes, who did not hold to anything that the traditional, like the ruling Jewish class, what they interpreted out of their scriptures. The Essenes went a totally different direction. So there were sects that held totally like antithetical views to one another.
Sure. And the problem becomes when you're trying to formally piece Christianity together.
Yeah.
You're going to have to somehow square all these things. You're
Right.
going to have to figure out how to make it all fit, because you've got all these prophecies about the Messiah, and some of them are opposites of one another. So they have to figure out ways to square, how Jesus comes from two different places, and those things. They have to figure out a way to square how Jesus is going to be divine yet from the line of David. They have to figure out how to square that. And so there are just conflicting things. So honestly, when from the beginning of Christianity, apologetics became necessary, because you have these conflicting narratives that they have tried to figure out how to square.
Right.
I'm not convinced by most of that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm an atheist, is because I never could figure out how these things could be possible in the same space.
Well, I mean, that again, like you said, that's where apologetics comes in, so that they can rule out certain interpretations and assert their interpretation as the only true interpretation.
I'm not necessarily the only true, but apologetics figures out ways to explain why these things are both true.
Yeah.
And I've never been convinced by any of. I don't understand how people watch some of these apologetics channels and videos or read books with all of this stuff and think it makes sense. No explanation of these things has ever made sense to me.
Neither me.
Okay, so are you ready to continue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will strengthen Judah and save the tribes of Joseph. I will restore them because I have compassion on them. I mean, compassion after you killed most of them and scattered them. Yeah. They will be as though I had not rejected them. So basically, he's going to bring them back to their former glory, as if this last 70 years and all the stuff that happened before never happened.
Right.
Yep. For I am the Lord their God, and I will answer them. The Ephraimites will become like warriors, and their hearts will be glad as with wine. Their children will see it and be joyful. Their hearts will rejoice in the Lord. I will signal for them and gather them in. Surely I will redeem them. They will be as numerous as before, though I scatter them among the peoples. Yet in distant lands they will remember me. They and their children will survive, and they will return. I will bring them back from Egypt and gather them from Assyria. I will bring them to Gilead and Lebanon, and there will not be room enough for them. They will pass through the sea of trouble. The surging sea will be subdued, and all the depths of the Nile will dry up. Assyria's pride will be brought down, and Egypt's scepter will pass away. I will strengthen them in the Lord, and in his name they will live securely, declares the Lord.
And declares the Lord. I always think of Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I just see the Lord standing naked in the middle of a town center, and he's just like yelling shit at the top of his lungs.
I declare. Yeah, whatever.
I am the God.
Okay, you ready for Zechariah 11?
Yeah.
Open your doors, Lebanon, so that the fire may devour your cedars. What? Open your doors so we can burn your shit down. That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Wail, you juniper, for the cedar has fallen. The stately trees are ruined. Wail, oaks of Bashan. The dense forest has been cut down. Listen to the wail of the shepherds. Their rich pastures are destroyed. Listen to the roar of the lions. The lush thicket of the Jordan is ruined. So he's lamenting for the shepherds. And then we're going to talk some about good and bad shepherds.
Okay.
Okay. This is what the Lord my God says. Shepherd the flock marked for slaughter. Their buyers slaughter them and go unpunished. Those who sell them and say, praise the Lord, I am rich. Their own shepherds do not spare them. For I will no longer have pity on the people of the land, declares the Lord. I will give everyone into the hands of their neighbors and their king. They will devastate the land, and I will not rescue anyone from their hands. So God obviously thinks there are bad shepherds, right? Because he's saying these people are bad. These buyers, the people who buy flocks, who take them on for money or whatever other reason, and then they don't take care of them. So he continues, so I shepherded the flock marked for slaughter, particularly the oppressed of the flock. Then I took 2 staffs and called one favor and the other one union. I shepherded the flock. In 1 month, I got rid of 3 shepherds.
Damn, that's a quick turnover.
No, he's firing people left and right. The flock detested me, and I grew weary of them and said, I will not be your shepherd. Let the dying die and the perishing perish. Let those who are left eat one another's flesh. Jesus. Yeah, I think he's back telling this. You know, he's going through, let's continue and we'll see where he goes. Then I took my staff called favor and broke it, revoking the covenant I had made with all the nations. I was revoked on that day, and so the oppressed of the flock who were watching me knew it was the word of the Lord. I told them, if you think it is best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the handsome price at which they valued me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them to the potter at the house of the Lord. So this portion is supposedly prophesying about Jesus being betrayed for 30 pieces of silver.
Right.
That's what Christians say. This is what Christians say is the prophecy for that. I don't see it.
Well, so being that this is like allegorical, he's like everything means something else, right?
Right.
So he says the flock who were watching me knew it was the word of the Lord. And I told them, if you think it's best, give me my pay, but if not, keep it. So they paid me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said to me, throw it to the potter, the handsome price at which they valued me. So I took the 30 pieces of silver and threw them to the potter at the house of the Lord. So the Christians are interpreting this to mean that this salvation that God is providing them, right, is worth the 30 pieces of silver. So, I mean, I think it's literally just them seeing somebody paying for the word of the Lord with 30 pieces of silver. And so that must be why Jesus was betrayed later. Like, it's definitely a stretch for the early Christians, but it's fairly obvious that this is where they're getting the 30 pieces of silver for that Judas pays for or gets paid.
Well, and I mean, Christians say that's where they got it.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, we just have to take their word for that. That's where they say this comes from. This is where they say it comes from.
Right. But I think that it's the mention of the word of the Lord, because that's often how Jesus, like whenever, if you look at how apologists connect Jesus to the Old Testament, a lot of the times when the word of the Lord is like embodied into a person, they'll say that that's Jesus in the Old Testament. That's one of the ways in which Jesus appears in the Old Testament, according to them. So it's probably this word of the Lord connected with being paid, or somebody paying 30 pieces of silver for the word of the Lord is probably how they connect.
Well, and it's also connected to him breaking his staff called favor, which is revoking the covenant he'd made with them. So it's basically breaking their relationship, which I think is probably how they connect it to a betrayal.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Okay. Are you ready to go on to the we're going to talk about the union?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then I broke my second staff called union, breaking the family bond between Judah and Israel, which is unusual, right? Yeah, that's what happens. Then the Lord said to me, take again the equipment of a foolish shepherd, for I am going to raise up a shepherd over the land who will not care for the lost or seek the young or heal the injured or feed the healthy, but will eat the meat of the choice sheep, tearing off their hooves.
What?
That's kind of weird because I feel like what he does is he raises up a shepherd who cares for the lost, seeks the young, heals the injured. Like that's the whole Jesus persona, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering, do you think that maybe this is like God saying that I'm going to give you over to like a bad shepherd or something?
Perhaps. It continues. It says, woe to the worthless shepherd who deserts the flock. May the sword strike his arm and his right eye. May his arm be completely withered and his right eye be totally blinded. See, this is OT God right here.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So that's the first prophecy. Well, I guess the second to last. The first one today. We're going to talk about one more.
Okay.
But that whole portion was the first, I guess the second to last Zechariah prophecy.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to start Zechariah 12. A prophecy, the word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord, who stretches out the heavens, who lays the foundations of the earth, and who forms the human spirit within a person, declares, I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. Judah will be besieged, as well as Jerusalem. On that day when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. On that day I will strike every horse with panic and its rider with madness, declares the Lord. I will keep a watchful eye over Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nations. Then the clans of Judah will say in their hearts, the people of Jerusalem are strong because the Lord Almighty is their God. On that day, I will make the clans of Judah like a fire pot in the wood pile, like a flaming torch amongst sheaves. They will consume all the surrounding peoples right and left, but Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. The Lord will save the dwellings of Judah first, so that the honor of the house of David and of Jerusalem's inhabitants may not be greater than that of Judah. On that day, the Lord will shield those who live in Jerusalem, so that the feeblest among them will be like David, and the house of David will be like God, like the angel of the Lord before them. On that day, I will set out to destroy all the nations that attack Jerusalem.
Okay.
This is weird because he sends them to attack Jerusalem, and then he protects them from the people he sent to attack them.
Right.
It's bizarre shit. Like, why don't you just not send people to attack him?
Or he could have just killed them instead of sending them to attack him. Like, he could
True.
easily just snap his fingers and be like, you're dead. And that's it.
I mean, true. It's not like he hasn't, it's not like it's beyond the realm of reasonable that God would kill everybody on the planet. I mean, blood.
He's done it once before.
Seems like that's something. Of course, he said he would never do it via flood. He could do it another way. Like, get creative, man.
Yeah.
You're God, right?
Yeah.
And I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem a spirit of grace and supplication. They will look on me, the one they have pierced, and they will mourn for him, as one mourns for an only child, and grieve bitterly for him, as one grieves for a firstborn son.
Uh-oh, I wonder who that could be.
Mm-hmm.
Only child, firstborn son, pierced. Could it be Yeshua?
And the Christians do attribute this portion as a prophecy that the day that Jesus is killed, he'll be pierced. So
Right.
the piercing in his side, this is a connection to the Jewish scripture that they attribute. They attribute to this, right?
Right,
As speaking of the Messiah.
And I double checked the Hebrew for this section, and the Hebrew definitely has the word that's used here for pierced means to pierce or pierce through.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, on that day, the weeping in Jerusalem will be as great as the weeping of Hadad Rimmon in the plain of Megiddo. Okay, the land will mourn, each clan by itself with their wives by themselves, the clan of the house of David and their wives, the clan of the house of Nathan and their wives, the clan of the house of Levi and their wives, the clan of Shibbi and their wives, and all the rest of the clans and their wives. I don't know why we couldn't have just said it. All the clans and the wives will mourn.
yeah, I don't know.
Individually, but here we go. On that day, a fountain will be opened to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to cleanse them from sin and impurity. Now, it's important because we know that the purpose of Jesus being killed and resurrected is to wash away their sins, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a prophecy of that. On that day, I will banish the names of the idols from the land, and they will be remembered no more, declares the Lord Almighty. I will remove both the prophets and the spirit of impurity from the land. And anyone who still prophesies, their father and mother to whom they were born, will say to them, "You must die, because you have told lies in the Lord's name." Then their own parents will stab the one who prophesies.
Oh, shit. The fuck?
Yeah. So no more prophets, which is weird because Jesus is kind of a prophet, but no more prophets.
Well, so it specifically says that after sin and impurity is absolved,
Fair.
there will be no more prophets after that.
Fair. Okay, so Jesus was already a prophet. Okay, so no more prophets after Jesus.
Right. He's the final prophet, the ultimate prophet, the prophet to prophet over all prophets.
The prophet to end all prophets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one prophet to rule them all. But it's interesting because there are people alive today who claim to be prophets.
Yeah.
And so as far as the Bible goes, if they read this and this is what they believe in, their parents should stab them to death.
The lawyers want me to tell you not to literally stab anybody over this passage in the Bible.
Did the lawyer say that?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. On that day, every prophet will be ashamed of their prophetic vision. They will not put on a prophet's garment of hair. What? They will... Sorry. They will not put on a prophet's garment of hair in order to deceive. Okay? Each will say, "I am not a prophet. I am a farmer. The land has been my livelihood since my youth." If someone asks, "What are these wounds on your body?" they will answer, "The wounds I was given at the house of my friends." What?
Well,
you need some new friends, sir.
Yeah. So I don't know. Thinking of how this could relate to Jesus, or well, if someone asks I mean, the wounds on the body and the wounds are wounds given at the house of my friends. I feel like this could be an allusion. People could read it as an allusion to, Jesus's violent passion, the wounds on his body.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why he got the wounds was because of Jews.
True.
The Jews are going to be the ones to give him the wounds. They're the reasons why he's dead or he
the
dies.
Jews turn him in, but it's the Romans who actually inflict the wound.
Well, they are, but only at the behest of the Sanhedrin.
Okay, so let's continue in Zechariah 13. "Awake, sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is close to me, declares the Lord Almighty. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But I will turn my hand against the little ones. In the whole land, declares the Lord, 2/3 will be struck down and perish, yet 1/3 will be left in it. This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, 'They are my people,' and they will say, 'The Lord is our God.'"
Okay, so he's going to throw a bunch of sheep into fire and wait for them to call out his name?
And turn into gold.
And okay.
And silver. Mm-hmm. Or maybe that's not what... Anyway.
Yeah.
Zechariah 14. "A day of the Lord is coming, Jerusalem, when your possessions will be plundered and divided up within your very walls. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it." Listen carefully. "I, God, will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it." Okay. "The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped." And God's going to let this happen. In fact, not only let it happen,
he's the one that does it.
He's inciting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. "Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations, as he fights on a day of battle. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, forming a great valley, with half of the mountain moving north and half of the mountain moving south. You will flee by the mountain valley, for it will extend to Azel. You will flee as you fled from an earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. Then the Lord my God will come, and all the holy ones with him. On that day, there will be neither sunlight nor cold, frosty darkness. It will be a unique day, a day known only to the Lord, with no distinction between day and night. When evening comes, there will be light." So this is super weird because God brings all these people to kill them, ransack their homes, steal their shit, and assault their women. And then he's going to create some kind of massive valley by moving mountains so that those who are left in the city can escape. And then he's going to fight those countries that he brought to fight Jerusalem, and he'll win.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe the reason why the earthquake happens in the gospel narratives is because of this part of Zechariah. Because it says, "You will flee as you fled the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a footnote on the earthquake section, and this section can also be translated, "My mountain valley will be blocked and will extend to Azel. It will be blocked as it was blocked because of the earthquake."
Oh, okay.
In the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. So there are a couple.
That's not what it says, but okay.
That's a footnote. Yeah, it's a footnote for an alternative translation. They probably use the translation that was most useful for their story.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which is more accurate to the words that are used, but that's what it is.
Okay.
So on that day, there's going to be all the people are going to come to Jerusalem, fight against it. Then God's going to split a mountain, and there's going to be no cold darkness, no darkness even at night. On that day, living water will flow out from Jerusalem, half of it east to the Dead Sea and half of it west to the Mediterranean Sea, in summer and in winter. The Lord will be king over the whole earth. On that day there will be one Lord, and his name the only name. The whole land from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, will become like Arabah, but Jerusalem will be raised up high from the Benjamin gate to its site of the first gate, to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the royal wine presses, and it will remain in its place. It will be inhabited. Never again will it be destroyed. Jerusalem will be secure.
Yeah, isn't Jesus referred to as the living water?
Yes.
That's why Ray Comfort named his ministry
Living Waters
Ministry.
Yeah, living water is a kind of a common symbolic thing in Christianity.
Yeah.
There are living waters churches. I think there's one here.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure there's one here in North Alabama. Okay. Are you ready to continue?
Oh, I'm ready to do this.
Okay. You know why Jerusalem isn't destroyed now, right?
Why is that?
The Iron Dome. That's why it's not destroyed now.
Yeah.
Because people trying to destroy it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But the Iron Dome has absolutely nothing to do with supernatural power and everything to do with missile defense.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, the Israelis are the most brilliant missile defense rocket-minded people, like rocket science fucks in the entire world. Man, Israel's got it going on. The Iron Dome is very good.
Yeah.
At doing its job.
I believe it.
It needs to be. Like I said, there's people trying to blow shit up over there every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the plague with which the Lord will strike all the nations that fought against Jerusalem. So he's going to bring them there to fight, and then he's going to strike them with plagues. Because,
right.
If I was the other nations, I wouldn't fucking listen to this guy. I'd be like, and they have several examples with that, throughout history of like God doing this and then turning on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not going to mess with this Yahweh guy anymore. Like he can fuck right off.
Yeah, he can.
Okay, their flesh. So this is the plague he's going to bring against the nations that he brought to fight against Jerusalem.
Okay.
And this is their punishment for fighting against Jerusalem, which he asked them to do. Okay.
All right.
Well, incited them to do.
Right.
Their flesh will rot while they are standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths. So sorry, their tongues also rot, so they can't stand there and yell. So, I guess they can yell. They just can't enunciate anything.
So it's kind of like that first guy in The Mummy when the mummy takes his eyes and his tongue.
Yeah.
And then he runs out and he's like, oh.
Yeah.
And he can't see, and that's pretty much all the other. I guess these are the armies against Jerusalem.
Yes,
armies. Yeah, they're just gonna be running around like that.
Yes, yeah, and their flesh will be falling off, rotting.
No, here's what their flesh is gonna be falling off. But why doesn't he take out their ears? Like, does God want them to be able to hear everything that's happening?
Well, I mean, look, even if you take off the like aesthetic portion of your ears on the outside of your body, like even if you cut both of your ears off, you can still hear because the hearing parts are inside.
I mean, I understand that, but I'm saying, like, why didn't he like rot out like the eardrum and everything like that?
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I would think having them be deaf, dumb, and blind that's pretty horrible. And for it to just spontaneously start happening to everybody, I mean, that's scary as shit.
But that's what he's going to do. And on that day, people will be stricken by the Lord with great panic. They will seize each other by the hand and attack one another. Judah too will fight at Jerusalem. The wealth of all the surrounding nations will be collected. So they're going to steal everybody's shit. They're going to rot their skin and ears and or eyes and tongues and everything off. And then they're going to steal their shit. Great quantities of gold and silver and clothing. A similar plague will strike the horses and mules and camels and donkeys and all the animals in those camps. You know what? This is like, fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
Yeah.
Like, what did the horse do? What did they do?
I don't know. God always demands that all the livestock and everything be like killed off.
Fucking
like,
rude.
That's happened multiple times.
Rude. Just rude.
I agree.
Yeah. Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate in the Festival of the Tabernacles. Let me tell you this. If some asshole was responsible for rotting my skin, rotting out my tongue, rotting out my eyes, taking all my shit, and killing all my fucking pets, do you think I am going to go up and worship that son of a bitch every year? Fuck no.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a stretch here, but whatever. God has a high opinion of himself.
But here's why he says that, though, that they'll come up and do it, because he's going to threaten worse if they don't. If any of the peoples of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, they will have no rain. If the Egyptian people do not go up and take part, they will have no rain. The Lord will bring on them the plague he inflicts on the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of the Tabernacles. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that do not go up to celebrate the Festival of the Tabernacles. So no rain means no crops. No rain means no grain. No rain means everything dies. Everybody dies. All the livestock, like everything dies.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, threatening no rain is a threat of death, eventual death, horrible, like long drawn out shit, right?
Right.
Because you're going to have famine and you're going to have, it's just going to be awful. It's going to be awful. So that's what happens if you don't go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, I feel like any Lord or God worth worshiping wouldn't have to threaten you with death and destruction if you don't, like, in order to get worship. Like, that's what he has to do to force people to worship him, is threaten them with horrible shit and death.
I mean, come on. How else are you going to convince people? Make well-formed arguments?
This isn't a free will worshiping. Like, this isn't people freely deciding that this is the God I want to worship.
Well, no, but it is, because you have the free will decision to choose to, go with a drought, have your flesh rotted off, your eyes rotted out, and your tongue rotted out.
It's not a choice.
I mean, to God it is. I mean, it's essentially putting a gun up to your head. It's like, you have a decision. You can be a smartass or you can die.
But this is duress. That's not free will.
I'm with you on it. I'm just being devil's advocate here. That's how they explain it. Like, oh, there is a decision. You can choose to die if you want to.
That's just not reasonable. Okay. On that day, holy to the Lord. Now that's quote, holy to the Lord, will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, and the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like the sacred bowls in front of the altar. Every pot in Jerusalem and Judah will be holy to the Lord Almighty, and all who come to sacrifice will take some of the pots and cook in them. And on that day, there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord Almighty.
So he's going to set up a theocracy.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to have to eat out of the Lord's bowl.
Yep. But to be fair, he's got the best meat.
Does he? You think that, like, wonton soup would taste good?
Like, just in general? Like,
yeah, out of the holy bowls. I mean, look,
I don't think the bowl changes the taste of the soup. If it's shitty wonton soup, it's going to taste shitty. If it's good wonton soup, it's going to taste good. But I don't think they're making wontons.
Oh, no? You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no. Wonton soup sounds good.
You do love Chinese food.
I shouldn't.
No, it's fine. You love it. It does not love you.
No.
Unfortunately, I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, that's it for Zechariah. That's the end of his ministry. That's the last we hear of him, from him, of him, about him. That's it.
Good, fuck him. I'm kidding. No, he probably didn't exist.
Yeah. So next, that's all for today. Next week,
okay,
or next episode, we are going to move into the book of Esther.
Yay!
Yes, and we are going to talk about the Festival of Purim. I have learned some really interesting things about Purim recently from what's her name? The Malik, the woman who hosts Jeopardy now, that was on Big Bang.
I
forget. I can never remember her name, but you all know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She has done some interesting TikToks about the Festival of Purim. So I don't know if that interests you. We're going to talk about it next week. We're also, but you can also go check out if you're interested in her. She's Jewish, right? She's a practicing Jew, and she talks about different festivals and things that they practice. So,
and it's Mayim Bialik, I think is maybe.
Oh, not Malik. Mayim. Yes, I was mixing her names. So yes. Anyway, her TikTok is interesting. You can learn a little bit about Jewish traditions and festivals and stuff from her.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Esther, and we're going to hear Esther's story.
Okay. I'm totally down for learning about Esther's story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's not fucked up.
Yeah. We're going to have Esther for a little bit. This is not going to be the only Esther episode. So I think we'll have two episodes of Esther, and then we're going to move into Malachi.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear about Esther next week. If you heathens want to tune in next week and learn about Esther and
Purim.
And Purim.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a guy?
It's a festival.
Oh, it's a festival. That's right. Sorry. Anyways, if y'all want to learn about that, you'll have to tune in next week. But for today, we'd love to hear what you guys think about our Bible study down below in the comments section. Be sure to let us know what you think about all of the references to Jesus or anything like that. We'd love to hear your thoughts, or rather read them. And while you're down there, why don't you smash that like button and subscribe if you like Bible studies like this.
And don't forget to stand up and use your voice.
Bye, heathens.
Bye, y'all.